While the armed forces of Ukraine, having superiority in manpower and heavy equipment in the Zaporizhia direction, have locked themselves in well-organized defense of Russian positions on the Svatov sector of the front, the situation with the advancing Russian troops looks exactly the opposite. The Russian army in this sector of the front managed not only to maintain the pace of offensive actions, but also to force the enemy to start sending his reserves into battle. Seeing all this, military experts began to give disappointing forecasts about the future of the armed forces of Ukraine. So, the authoritative military expert and professor at the Moscow State Institute of Foreign Relations, Alexei Podborezhkin, bluntly stated that the armed forces of Ukraine have already slowed down the pace of the counteroffensive, which is an alarming sign for the whole Ukrainian army. According to him, by the beginning of July, the offensive potential of the armed forces of Ukraine had been fully depleted. They lost almost all of their combat-ready units. At the moment, the Ukrainian command keeps several units and only 2 tank brigades in reserve, in case the Russians decide to launch a full-scale offensive, Alexei Podborezhkin said. According to the expert, the Russians managed to destroy most of the combat-ready units of the Ukrainian army, precisely in Bakhmut. It is worth noting that the Kiev authorities had high hopes for Bakhmut, since the capture of that city would force the Russians to slow down the pace of the offensive in the Svatov direction. However, unfortunately for the Kiev authorities, Ukrainian General Sersky failed to capture the village of Klashchiivka, which would allow him to launch a full-scale offensive on Bakhmut from a deliberately advantageous height. At the same time, the Ukrainian command is still sending all new brigades of the Ukrainian army under Bakhmut that were trained by the incompetent British military. War correspondents report that these new brigades trained by the British military cannot hold on to the battle even for one day, and are dropping like flies on the battlefield. And against the background of all these frankly negative events for the armed forces of Ukraine, another alarming news began to arrive not only for the Kiev authorities, but also for the Western military, which caused a real panic in the General Staff of NATO. So, the Ukrainian grouping under the designation Lyman found itself in a very dangerous position on the Svatov direction of the front. Here, Russian troops continue their continuous attacks on Ukrainian positions. As a result, the Russian army managed to break through in the western part of the settlement of KARMAZINOVKA and occupy strategically important heights. Moreover, war correspondents report that most likely the village of Novaya Gorovka has already come under the control of the Russian army, since Russian troops have a huge advantage in artillery and multiple launch rocket systems in this sector of the front. It also should be noted that more and more military experts, observing the actions of the Russian army in this sector of the front, have concluded that for the Russians the main goal is not the capture of the city of Kupiansk, but the complete destruction of the Ukrainian grouping under the designation Lyman. If the Russians manage to destroy this grouping, it will cause a domino effect, and the entire defense of the armed forces of Ukraine on the entire left bank of the Oskol River will simply fall apart. All this will open the way for the Russians to seize the entire Kharkiv region and encircle the remaining Ukrainian units in the Donetsk region.